Okay, so I've just realized that I actually have three ZD Toy Mark III figures. I've got two non-light up and one light up version, and I don't need three of them. So I wondered what I was going to do with this guy, and the answer was fairly obvious. We should do a battle damage version, but instead of just me doing it and then just showing it off in the end, I decided, why don't I try and film the process, and you know, we can experiment together and see what we come up with in terms of getting this guy sort of battle damaged and customized. Now, I don't need a lot to actually battle damage and customize this guy, really. I need some heat, I need a pointy metal thing, I also need some silver acrylic paint, and I also need some black paint for like a black wash or something like that. Fairly simple stuff. Now, all these techniques are very, very simple things that are, you know, sourced from like online tutorials and things like that. Nothing too difficult to do. But let's actually see what we can do with this guy, because I have no idea if this is going to work. And to be honest, it could look absolutely crap by the end. But let's just go through it and see what we end up with, yeah? Okay, quite simply, we can see that he needs definitely some battle damaged areas, usually across the chest here. This is where it's most prominent, where he's going to take the hits, maybe the torso, definitely the shoulder pads, some bits on the arms, little bits up here, you know, where things are sort of prominent, the top of the thighs, all these bits on the legs, maybe on the back of the legs here, and lots of edging, you know, like all the way around the bottoms of these bits need scuffing up and that sort of thing. So my theory is that we put all the battle damage pieces in first. We then give this guy a nice lovely sort of black wash, you know, get all the dirt in there and add some little bits of dirt into certain areas that we want. And then we'll go back over it with the battle damage scratches and things like that. So first off, what we've got to do is we've got to get this guy scratched up. We also need to get him maybe some bullet holes and things like that. And one of the simplest techniques of doing that is just by getting a sharp pointy object. We're going to get a sculpting tool here, and this is just like a normal top pointy bit here. We're then going to heat this up, and we're then going to start melting little bits of this plastic, which is going to be interesting to see if we can actually pull it off. But I'm not sure. What do you think? Do you think I should actually draw in the lines first and then go over them with the thing, or do you think I should just wing it? I think I'm going to try and draw some of those bits in and see if I can get away with it. If not, then we're just going to have to go with the eye and you know, see where it takes us. Okay, so this is a 0.5 millimeter pen, or 0.1 or something like that, very thin. But what we're going to try and do is try and get some battle damage pen marks in here. It doesn't seem to be working though. In actual fact, I'm actually scratching some of the paint off already. Yeah, let's try something else. Okay, so the pen isn't working, so I guess we're just going to have to wing it by eye. Well, hopefully this will be at least an interesting experiment, won't it? Okay, what I've got here is I've got a little blue torch. This is like one of those ones they use for creme brulee and things like that. A lot of people just use a candle, which I can recommend. However, I'm doing this in my collection room, and candles can produce soot, and I don't fancy the soot getting on my figures. So this guy is just a little blue flame, so that shouldn't cause too many issues. And as long as I'm careful with it, it should be okay. But all we've got to do now is sort of heat this guy up. Make it nice and hot. Now I'm going to use the wooden handle version. And the reason I'm going to use the wooden handle version is because if it was the metal version, then the heat would dissipate straight all the way down into the handle and burn me hand. But this is giving me some protection, so it's nice and hot there. Okay, challenge accepted. Let's try and put a scratch mark into this guy. See what happens. Ooh, it is working. Getting nice and deep. Let's have a look. Yep, that's a scratch, all right. Let's go back on, bring some heat to it again, and go at it again. This could take a little while, but it's probably better to go slow. Straight line here. This is definitely going to be a very interesting sort of battle damage. The more you do this, the better you'll get at it, I'm sure. Scratching in some more battle damage. If you don't need the heat for all of it, what we can do now is try and add some bullet holes, because we want this guy to look like he's been through the wars. And I think we're going to do some just up around this area here. Okay. Let's poke some holes. Bit too holy there. That's looking okay so far. Again, this is only the first process. What we're going to do is we're going to blackwash the life out of it and then add some silver paint over the top and get it to some sort of reasonable level. Okay, let's get this guy some battle damage on the shoulders. Big thick slash across the shoulder there. Okay, yeah. Again, it's not going to look good when you first do it because it's just going to be melted plastic. But then once we add in the black wash and then do some silver dry brushing over the top, it should actually look a little bit more effective. Okay, we're just going to melt some more of the plastic up here around the shoulder pads. Big chunk of the shoulder armour out. Give a few slashes across it. There we go. Again, we need to go around the back because we can't forget that the back is as important as the front sometimes when it comes to battle damage. The devil's in the details. Okay, so we're just going to come into the legs here and melt this down a little bit, doing some scratches and some forearm damage. Obviously he's going to use forearms to block things, so he's going to get scratched up there. Do we think the face is too perfect? Yeah, face is too perfect. Let's do some of that as well. Put these flaps a little bit, just so that they're not perfect anymore and they have lumps and dents in them and damage and whatnot. After a battle, these are one of the things that are probably going to get quite a bit of damage. I'm just going to scratch up the paintwork a little bit. And this is one of the cool things, because there's a silver underpaint and this has got like clear red over the top. Once you scratch it up, you can see the silver underneath, which is very cool. See, all that silver scratch in there. Okay, so I think we've got enough of the 3D battle damage in there. We've got scratches up the arm, scratches across the chest, bullet holes, shoulder damage, scratches across the eyes. And this isn't the only battle damage we're going to do. We're going to be doing some dry brushing and things like that, and highlighting lots of little bits of the edging and things like that. But in terms of 3D sort of scratches and deep cuts and things like that, I think we're good. Next job we've got to do is blackwash the life out of this guy and get into all those crevices and everything, and yeah, get that wash on so he looks decidedly dirty and battered. Nice and simple. We're just going to use a little bit of black acrylic. Probably don't even need that much, but as it is, then we just put some water in it, mix it all up and get this guy all washed out. Okay, black acrylic, just some water. We're going to mix it all up and get ourselves a nice wash. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're really going to go in and try and get into all those nooks and crannies with the black wash. And it might be a bit difficult to get in and do it all to begin with. Might need a couple of coats. That's okay. See, we're getting into all the bits and bobs there. You don't want it to look like it's brush stroked on. You want it to look like it's, you know, he's got gunk all over himself. This is the messy bit. And we are going to dab some of this off as well, because you don't want big lumps of black, because it will just look, well, just like big lumps of black everywhere. And you do not want that. Like this. Dabbing off all the excess. And then with this you can actually use it to dab bits more black wash over the other parts as well. See, there was a big pulled bit at the back here, so I had to dab that off because you don't want big pulled bits, because it won't look right. Okay, so that's like a first wash done. You have to now leave it for a little while to dry, let everything settle a little bit, and then we can go back and start dealing with a few more of those little details and get more wash into the places we need it to be. Okay, so we've got a good black wash going on. Lots of dark inside the actual damage inside there. Not too bad. Okay, I think we can yeah, I think we can get on and start doing some dry brushing with the Tamiya Chrome. It's got to be an old sort of buggered brush, because we're going to be using it to dry brush a lot, so we need to make sure it's not something too clean and good, because it's going to be imperfect. Let's get rid of the excess chrome off the brush. Let's start doing it. Gonna have to get it all the way around. Okay, you want to do some weathering around the edges here, and just dry brush chrome all the way along, and you want it across the battle damage pieces that you've already cut into the actual figure itself, especially around the edges all the way along here. It will look like all these bits have been rubbed and scratched off. Then we're going to come in and try and highlight around the edges of all these battle damage pieces we've done. It might not look like it's happening when you first do it, but honestly, just keep rubbing at it, keep going back over it, and the highlights will come through. Get the little corners. Then we'll do the bullet wounds here, and this will highlight in or around the actual edges and bring them up forward and make them more prominent. And we're going to do the same thing with the legs. So what we're going to do is we're just going to promenade and lightly dry brush over the top here, around the edges of the scratches and battle damage, and this will highlight those scratches. Then you can do some edging along here. Make it look like the metal is being shined up, and it'll actually highlight the damage all the way through. And then things like these parts here, you can just dry brush those. They'll start to come up. As we can see, as we're starting to dry brush all the way across, we're starting to highlight certain imperfections and minor battle damage as we go, especially around the corners and the edges here. You want to get them, and you're going to get a little bit more dry brushing up here and maybe along the edges, because these are more sticking out and more prominent. And then when we had like a very light subtle dry brushing before, we're going to go back over and maybe do like 2 or 3 takes as we go along, just to highlight those edges. Oops, way too much. If that happens, just quickly, slowly take it away. Okay, so the battle damage is coming on pretty well. We've still got some highlights we need to do along here, but you can see we're going down into the legs and we're highlighting all the edging just around the sides here. Lots of dry brushing, just so it looks all scratched and battle damaged, and looks like it's been through the wars. And then on the back you can see we've got way more damage and stuff like that. It's all highlighted, and all the deep scratches have been highlighted with the silver paint, with the dark wash sitting in there to actually show how deep they go. Okay, now I'm just going to come in and highlight the elbow pads. You just spend the rest of the year doing this. It's never finished. Sometimes you just need to stop, let it all dry a little bit, take a step back, have a look at what it looks like, and then if you need to go back and add a little more, you can. And I think we are done. Okay, so here he is, my Battle Damage Mark III. Now, like I said, the first thing I did was just melt in those battle damage pieces, and then I actually went in and did a black wash, and then we just dry brushed silver chrome paint over the battle damage pieces, while also highlighting lots of the edging and things like that. especially around the shin areas like this, the knee pads, the waist area around the back here, all the way up the spine. We did some damage to the flaps here just to melt them and make them look a bit dented. And then we went through with the chrome and highlighted all the battle damage into the armor. There's lots of dry brushing in there to make it look all scratched up and absolutely ruined. And yeah, I'm actually quite happy with it now. But as it is, you can tell that this is an actual fact. Try and scratch away a little bit of excess here. A battle damage Mark III. So let's put him up against the original Mark III to show the differences. And you can see there is a lot more difference in there now. He's absolutely scratched up. Lots of battered bits, scratches, dents. Damage in the shoulders. The shoulder pads are absolutely kicked in, so are the arms. So yeah, this will fit on the shelf now, just as a nice sort of battle damage version of the Mark III. So yeah, you got any excess ZD Toys figures knocking about? You could do worse than give them a good kicking. Okay guys, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough on how to do a battle damage ZD Toys figure. Like and subscribe if you do me a favour now, if you get the frick out of my cave. I'm going to take this guy now and he's going to sit right there as part of my battle damage line. I'm wondering if I should do a bit more like some of the other figures battle damaged as well. What do you reckon? Bye bye guys.